Hello, my lovelies. This is Autumn Storm, throwing up another video, debunking the narrative, Dr. Margaret Alice Murray. Dr. Margaret Alice Murray was born in India in 1863. She died in 1963. She lived a very long life, and she was a wonderful, wonderful person, I think. Dr. Murray is the most hated woman in the Wiccan and pagan communities. These people refuse to even acknowledge that she was a doctor. They often call her Murray or that Murray woman. They refuse to give her any credit that she was a doctor. But she is the most beloved woman in the archaeology, anthropology, and witchcraft community. The archaeologists call her the grand old lady of archaeology, which I thought was rather lovely. She's written a stack of books, which I've put a list below. Most of her books are back in print, which tells you some demand of her work. But you can also get them probably in like used bookstores if you are strapped for cash like I am. By the way, hit the donation button for the Broomstick Alliance. But the mere mention of Dr. Murray's name just throws Wiccans and pagans into absolute hysterics. She has been dead for 56 years, and she is still irritating the shit out of people. That's talent. That is one talented lady, and I hope I can do that myself. 100 years after my death, I'm still giving people heartburn. But these people, they lie because they're trying to destroy Dr. Murray's credibility. But of course, with the pagan community and the Wiccan community, they don't read her books, so they don't know anything. There was one blogger on Tumblr, oh, that stupid bitch. She said, at a certain point, Murray was no longer permitted to go on archaeological digs. And she left it at that. Because she knew all of her half-wit feminist and social justice warrior Wiccan would read into it that someone finally caught wind of Dr. Murray's bullshit and they shut her down. But that's not the case. It's true. At a certain point, Dr. Murray was no longer permitted to go on archaeological digs because of World War I. That little, at the end of World War I in 1918, Dr. Murray was 52 years old. Remember, she was born in 1863. She decided she was no longer permitted to go on archaeological digs. She simply couldn't do the work. She was too old. So she decided to focus on teaching, which she was a professor of archaeology, anthropology, and Egyptianology for many, many, many decades. And she focused her energies on writing her books, which we still have, and I thank her ever so much for. I'm trying to light my cigarette. She managed to debunk Wicca decades before its existence. She wrote her thesis, Witch Cult in Western Europe, a study in anthropology, and she had it published in 1921, I believe. Wicca congealed in a gutter somewhere in 1957. Her book debunks Wicca. I don't know how she did it. But her anthropology textbook proves that witchcraft is at least 32,000 years old. Ancient religion is an unbroken thread of tradition, and it survived the burning times. She proved it beyond a shadow of a doubt. Witchcraft survived the witch hunts, the 900 years, and emerged a complete religion, or almost complete. It's a bit arguable, but anyway. She wrote a stack of books, which... Now, when you say the word Dr. Margaret Murray to a Wiccan or a pagan, their eyes will roll back in their heads, they will twitch, and then the standard script will pop out of their mouth. Quote, Murray was discredited years ago, unquote. It's actually bizarre. But once you ask them, who discredited her? What year? What did this happen? And what's the evidence? Then they just sort of vapor lock and call you a misogynist and a Nazi because they don't have any answers. However, I do. Something like 15 years after the death of Dr. Murray in 1963, Norman Cohen, a half-wit historian, not an archaeologist, not an anthropologist, accused Dr. Murray of omitting information from her thesis. Now, since 1975, a small army of archaeologists, anthropologists, historians, and witches have proven Norman Cohen to be wrong. Dr. Murray's work is complete, and archaeology has proven her to be correct. Her work is standard. Her two books, The Divine King of England, A Study in Anthropology, and The Witch Cult in Western Europe, A Study in Anthropology, are still in print and are still being used as archaeology and anthropology textbooks to this day. I have read all of Dr. Murray's work except for one book, which I still have yet to get a hold of. But I've even read her autobiography, My First 100 Years. And I had to order it from Australia. It's an obscure book, but if you can get a hold of a copy, grab it and hold on to it. I thought that I was going to get a really intimate view of Dr. Murray's life, her autobiography. Oh, how wonderful. But this woman never gave an inch. I know more about her sister Mary and the relationship between her and her cat in the 90s than I do about Dr. Murray. She was seen to have born an anthropologist. She studied everything around her all her life, and that's what she reported in her autobiography. It's a fascinating book, but she really didn't say much about herself. Really great stories about mummies and there is one, and I have to say, there's one, let's just say it, screaming fag called Firelight, and he is apparently a Wiccan or some such nonsense, and he hates Dr. Murray. And of course, I rip him a new ass in the book that I'm writing. By the way, I'm writing a book. I'm writing several books, actually. Debunking the pagan and Wiccan community completely. It's going to be hellish if I can get it. But Dr. Murray was the one who sounded the horn that the witch hunts were over. Come out wherever you are, with her book, with her thesis, Witch Cult in Western Europe. But the question is, was Dr. Murray a witch or not? Said in her autobiography that I can find, but the witches that she was, Gerald Gardner, Doreen Valiente, they believed that she was a witch, so clearly they had more evidence than I do. I definitely consider her a witch because she's done so much for the witchcraft community. And it seems like if she wasn't a witch, why did she write at least 3 books involving witchcraft, which is very, very strange if she wasn't a witch. But anyway, if you want to make crap their pants and go cross-eyed, just say Dr. Margaret Alice Murray was fabulous. Their whole nervous system shuts down. It's hilarious. Anyway, there's probably more about Dr. Murray. I think she's fantastic. Doreen spoke about when Dr. Murray was 9 years old, the blue dot appeared on her left knee. Actually, 2 blue dots, which the blue dot is a sign of being a witch. When I was about 12, a blue dot appeared on my forehead out of nowhere, and I still have it. And it's just it's sort of a badge of honor, I guess, because it's right on my face. Even makeup, I can't cover it up in the 80s. You found me out. But when I would put heavy makeup on, eventually the blue dot would bleed right through the makeup. It's very weird. So I'm pretty sure that Dr. Murray was, in fact, a witch. But if you have any evidence to prove that she was or wasn't, send me a message. But the one book I don't have is The Divine King of England, because I thought it was out of print, so I only looked for it in used bookstores and antique shops. But The Divine King of England, A Study in Anthropology, has been in print since 1980, so you can get a brand new copy. I should have did more research. My fault. Other than that, I have no idea. But clearly, I mean, she's a genius in many ways, because it took 70 years for archaeology to catch up to her work. And of course, a lot of archaeologists and anthropologists disagree with her on certain points. I do myself. I disagree on certain points when it comes to the fairies. And they agree that she's right. Witchcraft is ancient. Witchcraft is an unbroken thread of tradition. Really interesting how Wiccans and pagans just hate. And I think I'm spinning out here at this point, so I probably should end this video. I'll talk more about Dr. Murray in other videos, Gerald Gardner, Dorian Valiente, of course. So thank you for listening. Hit the donation button for the Broomstick Alliance, and blessed to be.